Gana cantango Ahazuzera ilane Yeah 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 Nampitamane laza.
My name is Dominique Monnier. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Madagascar from 2000 to 2002, and I lived in a town of about 9,000 people called Maitiranu, which means black water in Malagasy, and we were right on the west coast of Madagascar. I have a duck story.
Okay, let's hear the duck. We'll start with the duck story, then something else comes.
Yeah. I was visiting one of the nuns actually in my town. We had several different churches, but the Catholic Church had a school that went with it, so they had quite a large population of nuns who were teachers. And so I knew them and was visiting one of them, visiting with her parents in a nearby, much smaller town. And as we were leaving, they wanted to give me a gift, and it ended up being this black duck that I got to alive take home with me, and I named him Dinner. And he hung out in my yard for quite a long time, but we ended up sharing him with the family I lived with for Christmas. So he was Christmas dinner. For a couple months, there had been some, discord in the country, and so again, for the size of the town, it really was very isolated. We didn't have any telephones. So I would once a week on Mondays go in and radio into the capital, into Peace Corps. It actually took me a while to stop saying over when I was on the phone because I was so used to talking into the radio. But I just went in. I went in on Mondays, and the Friday before was the first time in 2 months that I had gotten mail, because once all the political problems started, the flights into my town stopped, which is how we got our mail. So I hadn't gotten mail in 2 months. On this Friday, one of the Air Madagascar planes came in. It had all my mail. I spent the whole weekend writing letters like, things are turning around here. We're getting mail again. It was this, like, it's, everything's kind of starting to turn around. And then I went in for my Monday radio call, and as soon as I, was connected with Peace Corps, the guy I was talking to was like, are you sitting down? You need to be sitting down. And I just thought, oh no. And yeah, he said, can you get out of your town in 48 hours? If you can't, we're going to send a plane for you today. And I said, yes, give me 48 hours. There was a plane leaving in 2 days. And so yeah, it was 48 hours to just get to say goodbye to everyone when I, thought I had a whole nother year.
And what was the reaction of the people as you went to tell them, especially your close friends?
A lot of them were uncomfortable, I think, because of course I couldn't tell anyone without sort of breaking down. And the Malagasy don't show emotion. That's not their kind of style. I got to see a woman give birth, and she'd made not a sound through the whole process. I mean, they're very stoic. And so I was so emotional, so I could see that it kind of, people were like, we don't know what to do with this crazy American lady. Her eyes are leaking, I actually was evacuated from Madagascar. I had extended for a third year, so was at the end of my 2 years, and there was some political upheaval and all that goes along with that, and they decided the safest thing was to evacuate us. And my evacuation from my town was sort of this is Madagascar. It was very representative, I think, of just the people there and then the country and how things happen. I was in a town that was not reachable by roads, and so I had to fly out and they weren't flying into the capital at that point, I think because of everything that was going on. And so Peace Corps had sent a car to pick me up in the town about 2.5 hours from the capital, that I was going to be able to fly, get a plane to. And so I got on the plane in my town. Of course, everyone knew who I was, and kind of knew what was going on. And I was, bawling, and just it was horrible to have to leave like that. And got to the town where I was supposed to be picked up, and there was no Peace Corps car. And so, kind of long story short, apparently the driver had heard that the plane had been canceled, and so he just left without checking to make sure that it had actually been canceled. And so one of the local priests in town ended up coming down and saying, everyone says the car's left, like they're not just trying to get you to get a taxi ride into town, like there's really no car here for you. Let me take you back. I ended up, I hadn't slept in 2 days from when I'd found out I was being evacuated until then, and put me up with these very nice people who just stuck me in a room and let me fall asleep for a few hours, and then helped me get in touch with Peace Corps. And it was just this community that I didn't know anyone there, because I didn't leave my town that much because it was so hard to travel. And still the people were just so welcoming and took care of me. I always just felt so safe there. And helped me, got me on a bus to the next town where our Peace Corps could pick me up. And so it was bittersweet to have to leave like that, but then to just all the way out feel really cared for, and good memories of the country. I got to go back 2 years later to kind of have closure. I didn't feel like, and people were so happy and thankful to see me again. Just a lot of people thanked me for coming back, and that.
Melissa, and I was in Madagascar from 2000 to 2003, and I think one of my favorite stories was the way that we learned language, right? So there was this little man, and he was running. It was an old guy, but he was running as fast as he could, and then the little kids were running a lot faster than he was. And I walked out, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they just kept screaming, and they were saying, "Umbi Masiaka, Umbi Masiaka." And I had no idea what that meant. I thought it meant like everyone should start running. So I jumped in line and I started running with them. And then before we knew it, this big cow came out with these huge horns, and he was chasing them all down. And that was how I learned Umbi Masiaka.
My name is Sarah Lehulier. I was an English teacher in Madagascar from 2005 to 2007, and I went back again for Peace Corps response in 2010 to, what did I do? I taught computers and micro enterprise.
My name is Alex Blute. I was in Madagascar, which is the big island off the southeastern coast of Africa. I was there from 2007 till the end of 2008. One little anecdote that I remember, just a slice of life in Madagascar. One day I was on a long taxi Bruce ride, which is like these buses that take people all over the country, and I felt something sort of like bumping up against my leg, and I looked down, and a crab had crawled out of the market basket of one of the other people on the taxi Bruce and was in the process of crawling up my pants, up my leg. I screamed, of course.
My name is Danielle Borneman, and I was in Madagascar from 2007 until 2009, and I was an education volunteer, so I taught at a high school in Madagascar in a rural village called Ambatondrazaka. Loved everything that I experienced there. I had 8 classes of 70 students in each class, and all of them were excited to be there, and most of them were living there with other students their age in houses that they were renting, so they weren't around families, so they had to cook and clean and gather like firewood and water all by themselves, and lived alone like they were in college. We were evacuated at the end of my service because the military overthrew the government, and there actually still is not any settlement in terms of who is in power there. So that was kind of an abrupt end to my service.
Maureen Lee Maloney. I was an environment volunteer in '08 in Madagascar. And one of the stories that always sticks in my mind was the day I was riding between villages, and the typical ride was basically the back of a pickup truck that was covered, and I was crammed in there with about 15 other adults, a handful of kids, and a couple of chickens. The typical story, you know, I had some mystery juice dripping on my head, and I was just bouncing like crazy all over the place as we go down this dirt road, and I just thought to myself, I love my life right now. It sounds crazy, but I looked around and I just thought, who else in the world is experiencing this? You know, like, what is my family doing right now? They're sitting at home watching American Idol. And right now, I am my own American Idol. You know, I am a rock star having this incredible adventure. So, you know, I tell that to people when I tell them about the Peace Corps. Think beyond your borders, wherever your borders might be, because you might think that the world is going to change you. I mean, you might think that you're going to change the world, but I can guarantee you that the world is going to change you.
I'm Natalie Mundy. I'm a Peace Corps volunteer in Madagascar from 2010 to 2012. I'm a SED volunteer, Small Enterprise Development, and I work with the Federation of Silk Weavers to teach business and find a market abroad. We're here at the Santa Fe Folk Art Market to have their first market abroad, and we're doing really well, so we're really excited about it. Thanks.